in Colorado. This is Dave, K0HAK. I'm located in Fort Collins, and I will be net control for tonight's NCARC TechNet. The purpose of the TechNet is to enlighten amateur radio operators on topics of a technical nature. We will do our best to answer any technical questions to the benefit of all listening. If a subject has never been clear to you, this is an excellent opportunity to find an answer. If anyone feels they have information that will help regarding that subject, please give your call sign, and Net Control will call on you. When checking in, please give your call sign slowly, first alphabetically, then again using the ITU phonetic alphabet, along with your name and location. When checking in, please state if you have a topic that you would like to discuss. I will be taking check-ins in groups of 3. When I have recorded the first group of 3, I will move on to the next group of 3. I will start by taking check-ins from any Echolink users. Any call signs, Alpha through Zulu, tuning in via Echolink, please call now. All right, I will now take check-ins over the air from call prefixes Alpha through Mike. Alpha through Mike, please call now.
This is Kilo 3 Sierra Alpha Delta, K3SAD, George and Windsor, no traffic.
WA7EM Whiskey Alpha 7 Echo Mike, Ed and Erie, no traffic.
Whiskey 0 Kilo Juliet Mike, W0KJM, Kyle, Fort Collins, with a question.
All right, let's hold it there for just a sec. I had kind of a weird transmission at the very first. It sounded like somebody keyed up, but there was absolutely zero audio. That was right before K3SAD George. I'm not sure if that was a station that was trying to get in. I want to give them another chance. So if that was you calling and I didn't call you, I have K3SAD, WA7EM, and W0KJM. If you tried to call and did not get your call sign in there, please call again. Okay, I've got the same thing going on with you there. I've got you good, strong signal into the repeater, but no actual audio being transmitted for you. Maybe we can try and figure this out a little bit later, but definitely check your equipment there and see if you might have a loose something. I don't know what might be going on there, but definitely something to look into there. And you're welcome to try again a little bit later. All right, let's take the next group of 3, please. Next group of 3, Alpha through Mike.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 0, Oscar Delta Delta, Paul from Berthoud, no traffic.
This is
0 MLG, Kilo 0.
This is N0EMP, November 0 Echo Mike Papa, Greg in Fort Collins with Debbie, K0DBE, Kilo 0 Delta Bravo Echo, no traffic.
All right, I've got 3 of you in there technically, K0MLG Marty, N0EMP Greg, K0DBE Debbie. We'll go ahead and take the next group of 3.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 0, Oscar Delta Delta, KF0 ODD, Paul from Berthoud, no traffic. Whiskey 0, Alpha Sierra Papa, W0ASP, Terry, also in Berthoud, with a topic.
W0RCR, Whiskey 0, Romeo Charlie Romeo, Pete, Pinewood Reservoir, on Echolink.
All right, we'll pause there for a sec. I've got you, Paul, KF0ODD. I apologize. I did actually write you down a little bit earlier. I just overlooked it, but thank you for coming back. W0ASP, Terry, good to hear you in here. I've got you down at the topic. W0RCR, Pete. Let's take the next group of 3, please.
W5VV, Whiskey 5, Victor, Bill, Mobile, Fort Collins. Whiskey Sierra 7, Mike, WS7M, Mark, Mobile, Fort Collins.
This is AE0CF, Alpha Echo 0, Charlie, Foxtrot, Ben, Fort Collins.
All right, I've got W5, Victor, Bill, and I think I've got this as WF7M. Was that Mark? If you can come again with that in just a sec. And I have AE0CF, Ben. Did I get that right, WF7M?
Whiskey Sugar 7 Mike, WS7M.
Got it, Whiskey Sierra 7M. Thank you for confirming that. Let's go ahead and open this up to Alpha through Zulu. Any call signs? Alpha through Zulu. Please call now.
This is WB5TEX, Whiskey Bravo 5, Tango Echo X-Ray, Dale, Lowland, no traffic.
This is Donald, W0, DPC, that's Whiskey Zero, Delta, Papa, Charlie, no traffic, over.
This is KC0, SIQ, Kilo Charlie 0, Sierra, India, Quebec, Sean, Fort Collins.
All right, I've got I'm sorry, Dale. I've written your call sign numerous times here, but I've got the number wrong. Let me get that from you here again in just a sec. And then I've got W0 DPC Donald and KC0 SIQ Dale. Can you come back again with your call?
Whiskey Bravo 5, Tango Echo X-Ray.
Got it. Just forgot to write down the region identifier there. WB5TEX. All right, let's go with the next group of three. Alpha through Zulu, please.
WA9FBO, Whiskey Alpha 9, Foxtrot Bravo Oscar, Bob and Laporte.
W0SAX, Whiskey 0, Sierra Alpha X-Ray, Jonathan, Horsetooth, with a question.
K0AZA, Kilo 0 Alpha Zulu Alpha, Ron in Fort Collins.
All right. K0AZA, Ron. We'll take the next group of three, Alpha through Zulu.
Dave, there was a double on your transmission and 0 in my line.
Thank you, Bart. If I did not call your call sign back, repeat your call sign back. Could you come again, please?
KC0ZPY, Kilo Charlie 0, Zulu Papa Yankee, Jack in Loveland.
W0SAX, Whiskey 0, Sierra Alpha X-Ray, Jonathan, Horsetooth Reservoir, with a question.
All right, W0SAX, I have you in there with a question, and I got KC0ZPY, Jack in Loveland. Let's get the next group of three, Alpha through Zulu.
This is November, Yankee, Bart in Evans, and I am with N0QXQ, November 0, Quebec, X-Ray, Quebec, Jean, Juliet, Echo, Alpha, November, also in Evans, no traffic.
Thanks, Bart. I've got you in here, N0NYY, and I've got Gene, N0QXQ. Also had a doubling station with Bart. Could you come again, please? All right, nothing heard. We'll go ahead with the next group of three, Alpha through Zulu, please.
KD0YLP, Kilo Delta 0, Yankee Oscar Papa, Scott in Fort Collins via Echolink.
Kilo Echo 0, Mike Echo, Kiki0ME, Dick, Loveland.
All right, sounds like things are starting to slow down a little bit. I've got KE0YOP, Scott, and KE0ME, Dick. Any other check-ins, call signs, Alpha through Zulu before we begin taking topics? All right, this is K0HAK, net control for tonight's NCARC TechNet. We'll go ahead and start with Kyle, W0KJM. I believe you said you had a topic.
Yep, W0KJM, I sure did. Recently I've been, I found a new fascination with Morse code and have been trying, keyword being trying, to learn CW. Not succeeding, but trying. I found a few little apps on my phone that'll kind of help, but I was wondering if anybody had like the secret cheat code to learn Morse code real quick and easily.
EMP.
Go ahead, Greg.
I did this a few years ago, and what the advice I took that seemed to work for me is, first of all, do not look at a Morse code chart. You don't want to learn it visually and translate between what you hear to a picture of dots and dashes on a chart. You'll have a very hard time building speed if you do that. There's an excellent free website I used called lcwo.net. That stands for LearnCWOnline.net. You can't really do it on your phone. You need a keyboard because you learn fast CW. You don't start out at 5 words a minute. You start out fast, but with more spaces between the letters. So your brain from the beginning learns what fast CW sounds like. And you learn 2 characters. And you push the key on your keyboard for the character you're hearing. And once you're doing 90% on that, it adds a 3rd character and then a 4th and so on. So you create an account, a free account, and a login so that it remembers where you were last time you left off. And that worked very well for me, and other people have been very happy with it as well. And 0 EMP.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Yeah, I'll check out that website. And I guess this was kind of a 2-part question. Does anyone know of a good place to get keys that aren't going to absolutely break the bank?
EMP again. You should look at a couple of keys I have, and we'll talk about that in 0 EMP.
And my wife.
Go ahead, Bart.
3 things. I have a box downstairs in the basement marked keys. One of them I think is precious, and I'll keep that. The rest of them I don't care about. If you don't succeed with Greg, I'll be option 2 for keys. Point number 2, I believe the timing Greg talked about, where the letters are fast, but the spacing between them is long, is called Farnsworth spacing. And I mention that because if your LCWO has the option to set Farnsworth spacing, it is very, very helpful. Some years back, I used a program called Code Quick, where they took the letter elements, like an X is da 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 da, and it's their word mnemonic for it was cross at the door, and it was quick, easy to learn, and they also did the Farnsworth spacing thing. I don't know if that is still available today, but that was the one that gave me the most success because it gave me something to make sense out of the letters in addition to just hearing them. And 0 and my back to net.
Echo Mike.
Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah. I went through this maybe 2-3 years ago. I'm mediocre, but I can do DX. I can recognize my own call and send 99, minimal. Anyhow, don't use the visual stuff, and I wouldn't skip the straight key and go to a keyer. You can't send on a straight key, anywhere near what you want to. So I know the old GIs did it, but I don't know how they did it. I suggest a venture keyer or equivalent. And look at the used sites, and you may find something. Or the upcoming HamFest. That's my 2 cents for the 70.
Awesome. Well, I think that answers all of my questions. So if nobody else has anything else for me, then I guess I'll turn it back over to Net. W0KJM.
Thanks, Kyle. That was a good topic. And thanks, everyone, for the input on that as well. This is K0HAK, Net Control for tonight's NCARC TechNet. The next topic, Terry, do you want to ask your question or discuss your topic for tonight?
Thank you. This is W0ASP, Terry in Berthoud, and I would like to bring up the topic of someone I used to know. There was a guy called Art Bell, who I think made of the older people on this net may have listened to. He was a ham radio operator, and he had a radio show called Coast to Coast AM that brought up a bunch of interesting topics. He, in his later broadcast years, claimed to have a horizontal loop antenna that was approximately 60 feet above ground, with a second loop about 50 feet above ground, and a very good ground plane. I don't know if anybody has any knowledge or interest or opinions about such an antenna, but I would like to hear them. W0SB back in that.
EMP.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yep, I used to listen to Coast AM at night. Well, that's when it was on. And when I lived in California, and he was in Pahrump, Nevada. And back then, this was in around the year 2000, before and leading up to, and for a little while after the year 2000. Back then, 3830 was in the extra portion of the band, and after the end of the show, he and some other extra class hams would rag chew on 3830, and I was able to listen from California. He had phone poles in the ground to support this, and it was originally a one wavelength circumference horizontal loop for 80 meters at whatever elevation the phone poles were. I think there were some photographs of it somewhere on maybe his QRZ page. And he added a second turn to the loop, but I thought it was near the top. I don't think it was down near the ground. I think maybe 6 feet below the original one, but still way up in the air. And that's all I know about that, and 0 EMP.
LED.
Go ahead, Dave. Let me add you to the roster as well.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I don't. 4 letters that refers to that antenna, but I have very recently modeled the thing. It only worked with a very extensive, highly conductive ground plane. My modeling shows it to be extremely inefficient. It's come up. The group ham antennas here last week or the week before, confirming the results of my modeling. It was originally on on a ship, conductive. I'm trying to think of top of the ship. I need to eat something here. Low on sugar, I think. Modeling it. It works for the Navy. They have a highly conductive surface area on which to mount it, typically 6 to 10 feet off the. But I even contemplated building one in the late 60s. Actually did an article on it, but it's not a very viable antenna. It's inefficient as the dickens. W0LED.
Thanks, Dave. I think we caught most of what you were saying, but every few seconds you were kind of cutting out there. In essence, it sounds like it needs a good ground plane. Without that, it's not a great performer. It was used by experimented with by the Navy quite a bit, and that makes sense with seawater. Did I get the gist of that, or was there a little bit more? You were kind of cutting out every few seconds there.
Yeah, was the audio cutting out, or was my RF cutting out?
Well, it was kind of your audio. It almost sounded like somebody was doubling or something periodically, and so we were kind of just losing your ability to copy what you were saying, but you were still into the repeater.
Yeah, well, there's somebody on this repeater who wanted to beat me up once, so could be that one. Yeah, you caught most of it. The Navy originated it. The Navy uses, I don't know if they still use it, but they have a very large, highly conductive surface on which to mount the thing. Therefore, it's reasonable for them. For amateurs in my modeling, it's extremely inefficient. There was, last week or the week before, there was quite a discussion on one of the Google I.O. groups about just that. And they confirmed the results of my modeling. Some people have used it, but also confirmed it's inefficient. I wouldn't even visit the thing. I was considering it for 160. I won't even visit it after all of that. W0LED.
All right, let me see if I got this. Terry, does that help you?
Oh, well, I actually know that the antenna was probably not very practical, but Art Bell made a whole lot of claims about it that I don't believe either. And I was just wondering if anybody had any data or experience that would prove that such an antenna was in any way practical. And I personally, I don't think so. But that was what I was asking for, if anybody had replicated his experiments.
Hey, MP again.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, there's been 3 people tonight that there's almost like they're being stepped on when they talk. But I think, and they're all people that do not have strong signals into the repeater. This was happening tonight with Bart and Dave, and also with a gentleman who call sign entered an EM, Echo Mike. It was happening with him as well. I happen to know for a fact that a whole bunch of new cellular equipment for 5G has been added to our Horsetooth Tower. It's quite possible that someone with a strong signal into the repeater has no problem. Someone with a weak signal into the repeater due to terrain or whatnot might be mixing with junk from the new installation. So that's something I'll have to look into. Let me reset this.
Maybe you got a comment?
Stand by. The Art Bell's antenna, as I understood it, was simply a conventional horizontal loop antenna, a full wave circumference loop antenna, which I used to have one here that was only up 15 feet, and it worked well. It wasn't a DX antenna, it was a regional antenna. And Radio Dan has a full-size 160-meter loop up on phone poles, and I think Art Bell's antenna was up on phone poles. I think it was quite high up off the ground, and they do work. They work quite well. There's a lot of articles online, people that use full-size loops, horizontal for HF, and love them. And 0 EMP.
Thanks, Greg. Go ahead, LEV.
Yeah, Terry, I think the antenna you're referring to, and I finally remembered after, DDRR, Denver, Roger, DDRR antenna. It's a very low circular antenna. And Greg, I'm presently running 50 watts. I normally do just fine with 15 watts. I had to up it today to 50 watts to make the repeater. Sophie, it's W0LEV, and I need to go to the kitchen for supper.
And EMP again, this equipment was recently added to Horseshoe. We've been watching the work on the cameras up there. So we need to evaluate if that's had any effect up there. And 0 EMP.
Yeah, go ahead, George.
Just to kind of settle things here, this is a transmission at 1 watt for reference, standby. Now this is at 5 watts. Is there any difference?
Yeah, actually there were significant difference. Your 1 watt transmission sounded much better than your 5 watt transmission.
Okay. It might have been a short duration.
All right, this is K0HAK, net control for the NCARC TechNet. Terry, did you kind of get what you needed out of that, or it kind of sounds like a topic that a lot of people haven't really had much experience with, I'm afraid.
Well, if the time can permit, I would actually like to make a little bit clearer what I've heard recently, because the Art Bell radio broadcasts are on podcasts. I've listened to them recently, and I re-listened to some of his broadcasts, and he said he had a loop, had 2 large loops at 50 feet and 60 feet, and he definitely claimed that he had a ground plane below those loops, and I have not heard of any ham repeating that kind of configuration, W0ASB.
So was there some kind of an interaction between those 2 loops, like a directionality, driven element reflector kind of thing?
The information I have from the radio broadcasts is not conclusive as to how he drove the elements.
And why?
Yeah, go ahead, Bart.
Quick Google says DDRR is a directional discontinuity ring radiator, or directly driven ring radiator. Google that. I see the construction of it. Very interesting. And 0 MYY back to that.
I'm Googling that as we speak.
Some erroneously refer to it as a slot antenna, which it is not. W0LEV.
Well, in the interest of time and keeping the net moving along, maybe we can circle back around on this topic while we look into the DDRR. Terry, are you okay with that?
In memory of Art Bell and the idea of making you all think outside the box, yes, W0ASP, back to that.
All right, sounds good. This is K0HAK, net control for tonight's NCARC TechNet. I have W0SAX Jonathan next up with your topic. Can you go ahead and present your topic or question?
W0SAX. I'm a fairly new ham operator studying for my general, and my question for the net tonight was, does anybody have information on good beginner level starter grab bags set up for like POTA, soda type thing?
And why?
Go ahead, Bart.
Why nobody spoke up, I don't know. I don't know if Dick checked in, KE0ME, he does a lot of POTA. Kyle, KGM, is definitely here. He has a very nicely set up grab bag. I have a grab house. I just grab junk out of the house, throw it in the car, and go play. I haven't gotten as organized as a bag yet, and there are certain frustrations associated with that. But that said, it gives me the opportunity to experiment with lots of different things and never do it twice the same way, and I do not recommend my technique. And sure, back to that.
KAJM.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, the reason I didn't key up initially is because my stuff is a little bit not so beginner. It's a little higher price point, but it is a great all-in-one grab bag. I have a Yaesu 857D 857 Delta. It's a shack in the box. It does all your VHF, UHF stuff as well as HF. And I have it in a PRC 115 Golf bag and a Armalock case. So it's pretty rugged and rough and tumble for POTA stuff. So if you drop it off of the park bench, it'll be just dandy. And that's just the radio side. Antennas, I also tend to not bring the same antenna over and over. I know what works, so I always bring the one that does work, but I will always play around with other antennas as of late. But the 857D is a great radio. There's also the Zygu G90. It's only 20 watts, but that's the one that I'm looking at next. That one's a little bit more affordable and attainable because the 857D is discontinued, so you'll only find them secondhand. But yeah, I hope that kind of gets you started pointed in the right direction. W0KJM.
W0ASP comment. Anyone else with any input on any Summits on the Air / Parks on the Air setups?
W0ASP.
Yeah, go ahead, Terry.
When it comes to a small, light, and cheap HT radio, you really can't beat the Baofangs.
Jonathan, did you get what you needed out of all of that, or did you have some more questions based on the information that some of the operators have given here?
That gives me a good starting point. I guess my next question would be, is power supply, do you just use a rechargeable battery, or do you bring solar cells in a bank, or ideas on the power supply?
KJM.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, typically for POTA activations, you don't necessarily need the whole solar rig. If you're going to be at the park all day long, then yeah, it's kind of handy. But for the most part, most everyone I've ever seen uses just batteries. I use Bioeno batteries. They are a little bit pricey, but they are lithium iron phosphate as opposed to lithium iron polymer, so they're a little bit more stable. And we've talked ad nauseum about battery chemistries on the TechNet, so I'll save that for another day. But that's kind of the go-to, is just rechargeable batteries. Also, if you'd like some pictures of some of the deployment kits that I have, my email is goodoncqrz.com if you wish. Also, another great resource that's local, W0BNC, Whiskey Zero Bravo November Charlie .com. That's Bob. He's got a ton of blog posts about little portable POTA setups that he's put together, and that's always a good spot that I look at for inspiration.
NYY.
You're up, Bart.
I think it's time that we do a POTA workshop of some kind or another. Yep. We'll have to pull some people together. Maybe we'll plan it at lunch this week. Oh, I have an announcement.
I was going to ask about that a little bit later. Go ahead, Bart.
This week is the week for the Loveland lunch. Wednesday, 11:30 a.m., Perkins, 2222 West Eisenhower, a.k.a. Highway 34. Look for the tallest flagpole in Loveland. We get together for lunch. It's kind of like TechNet with lunch. There's usually, I exaggerate not, a couple 100 years of radio experience sitting around those tables. Great chance to get away, ask questions, meet some of the people you've been hearing. And I know most people work during the day, but if you have questions and you want to sit down and find out who knows what about what and get established with their emails or phones or whatever the story may be, this is an ideal opportunity to do so. The amount of experience available there literally staggers the mind. And 0NYY back to net. Thank you.
Thanks, Bart. Jonathan, did that answer your questions, or do you have any follow-up questions on this topic?
W0SAX, I think that gives me a good place to start. do some research on these and see where it goes. Back to Net.
All right, sounds good. Just as a reminder, we've got that general class next month. Are you signed up for that?
I had not signed up for the class. I was doing the self-study through the ham radio app and a YouTube video from a gentleman down in South Carolina.
All right, sounds good. Well, just to make you aware and anybody else that's listening, there is the general class that's being hosted next month. I believe the first session is on April 26th, and then the second session is on May 3rd with the testing being done that session. I don't think you actually even have to attend the class to come in and do a test. You could just come in and do the test there. And that's at the Larimer County, was it the EOS? Yeah, maybe somebody can help me out with this, with the location on that one. Well, details are on the website, ncarc.co/general-class. You can go there, you can sign up, you can see the details there. All right, let's see. Terry, did we want to circle back around on your topic regarding your loop antennas? Did you get a chance to look into the DDRR antenna?
Well, thank you. I just wanted to bring up the topic of that and remind people of what it was and to remind people of Art Bell. So I am very satisfied. W0ASB back in that.
NYY. If you dig around on the website, you will find that the general class is held at the Larimer County OEM facility. That would probably be Office of Emergency Management, 4872 Endeavor Drive in Johnstown, 80534. That's all listed on the NCARC website there. And 0NYY.
Thank you, Bart. I appreciate that. All right. This is K0HAK, Net Control for tonight's NCARC TechNet. Looking for anyone that might have any additional topics or any late check-ins for tonight's TechNet.
KF0GQI late check-in.
GQI, I have you in here. KF0GQI. Can I get a name with that, please?
Doc and Pierce.
All right, I have you in the log for tonight. Anyone else with late check-ins or any additional topics?
KF0OTG, Dave, Fort Collins, late check-in.
All right, that was pretty scratchy. I got KF0 in there, but I did not get the suffix. Can you come back with that?
That was KF0OTG, is Dave in Fort Collins.
All right, sounds like I got KF0OTG, Oscar Tango Golf, Dave in Fort Collins.
Affirmative.
All right, got you in the log. Any other late check-ins for tonight?
N0RTE,
Right in Fort Collins. All right, that sounded like November 0, Roger Tango Tango, is that correct?
Affirmative.
Okay, got you in the logbook for tonight. Any other late check-ins? All right, hearing none, this concludes the NCARC TechNet Net Control. We'd like to thank each station for their participation. We had a total of 29 check-ins tonight. Will occur again next Monday at the same time on this recording. This is K0HAK, closing the net at this time, 7-3, and good night, everyone.
This presentation was brought to you by the Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club. For more information, visit our website, ncarc.net. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.